Welcome here at the Hydrogen and Fuel Cells Battery exhibit on the fair in Hannover. This is an interactive podium here. So if you follow all discussions directly, you can post questions. So if you're very interested, just ask, lift your hand and I will go down. And who will we have right now? It is right now here on stage, we see the market introduction of the fuel cell heater Galileo 1000 and produced by the Hexis company. A warm applause, please, to the General Manager, Dr. Alexander Schuler, and the Head of Marketing and Sales, Mr. Volker Nerlich from Hexis.
Hello. Hello, schön.
Take place, please. So you found the way to the Hanover Fair, and you've been here since yesterday and seeing the exploding market of hydrogen and fuel cells. To give an introduction of your company, what does your company do exactly, and what kind of market experience can we expect from you?
Yes, Hexis is a company, a fuel cell company. We are located in Switzerland and Germany. Our technology we are developing is based on SOFC, solid oxide fuel cell, the high temperature fuel cell. And our application, which we are developing and now in production, is a fuel cell heating appliance for single family homes and small multifamily homes. So we are doing development of the cells, of the technology, of the complete system. We are producing the system by ourselves, and now we started also distribution of this technology.
So your system got now the market directly in front of. So your system is ready-made and you can sell it to a fair price.
Of course, we have a technical status where it is allowed to sell it to end customers. We will give a guarantee on the operation. So on the technical side, yes, market introduction, and Volker Nerlich can explain a little bit more about how we do that.
So Mr. Nerlich, how's about product description? So what is the Galileo 1000?
Galileo is the fuel cell appliance for single-family homes and small multi-family. It's designed to replace a gas boiler or oil boiler in order to supply the building with electricity and heat, more or less independently generated by natural gas.
So that means you can expand your household with this engine to lower the cost of the household.
Basically, that's the idea. We want to produce, or the system is ready to produce electricity made of cheap gas. Electricity is, for example, in Germany quite expensive due to due to prices of renewable energy. So it's attractive to have a generator, electrical generator, to replace electrical energy demand from the grid.
So that means you have not only the heating, also the electricity that can solve some energy prices for the rising energy prices. So it is getting more and more actual, your engine, for the complete market.
Yes.
Because you reach, yeah?
That's the basic idea. We are observing that in Europe the energy market gets more viable. The demand for electricity will stay high. The heat demand will lower further down. So electrical energy will be always important demand of customers.
Yeah, sure. So, but you stand alone. No, you don't. You have great partners who rely on your product. They like to get this kind of product through their own door. I just had written down Fissmann as a partner.
Yes, that's right. Since 1.5 years, the German-based Fissmann group is 50% owner of Hexis. And that's our big partner behind us. Of course, we are at the moment developing the next generation of the system, which then fits into the Fissmann portfolio. So Viessmann is a technology partner for us, but it will in the future also be the distribution partner. And of course, Viessmann is I think, number 3 in Europe. So it's really one of the big players, and we are very happy about that. Because Hexis itself is a small company, we are 40 people. And in this market, it's important to have a strong partner at his side, especially for marketing the system.
And Viessmann is a very common partner here in Germany. Nearby everybody knows what Viessmann does and what they stand for. So they are a very reliable partner.
Yes. Of course, they have an excellent reputation on the technology side, but also it's a family-owned company in the 3rd generation, so there's really stable boundary conditions for Viessmann itself, but also now for Hexis.
That sounds very good. Of course, you had to convince somebody who also says, well, we need also reliable partners, someone who is planning for the future. So what is the marketing concept behind it? How to get Viessmann on the one side and how to convince people who want to have it directly in their household that they can have your kind of engine. So what is the market situation right now, Mr. Nerlich?
The situation is Hexis is going to introduce the system to the market. So we are selling the fuel cell system to installer, and the installer will sell offers the system with his work to install the system within the building to the end customer. So our direct customer will be the installer who is selling it again to an end consumer, to owner of a single family home. So we are addressing more or less installer, and on the one side, on the other hand, we're talking with energy utilities, energy service provider, which are doing kind of contracting or kind of energy service for end customer in order to just to supply energy, electricity and heat, and take over the operation of the system. So the end customer has needs to have no clue about the system. He's giving the responsibility to energy service provider.
So for the end customer, it's very easy. Just go there, buy one, and the rest will be done by an installer, by a specialist who wants to say it. So how does the specialist know what he's got to do?
At the end of the day, the specialist installer will be trained from Hexis. He will get all the information from Hexis in order to discuss about fuel cells and combined heat and power, in order to be able to install it, to operate the system, and we will support those specialists to be ready to sell them further on to their customers.
So the great deal is that there's a lot of spreading news from your side about not only your product, also about the hydrogen and fuel cell batteries story in general, so that the complete theme gets closer to the end customer. Like, for example, photovoltaic did 10 years ago. Everybody knows that we can have now electricity from the roof, for example. And also in other regenerative parts, we see the windmills everywhere. But nobody sees a heating system within a house. And so what kind of idea do you have for the marketing?
Basically, fuel cell system or CHP system like Galileo will not be seen. We have to prepare the market to introduce the system. So there's a lot of regulations, laws which influence anyhow the business case for end customer to run the system. There's a CHP law which makes sure that the installer, for example, can get some money for fed in electricity, and this needs to be prepared as well. So not only about selling systems, it's about preparing the market in order to make installer and end customer ready to understand and to operate it. Solar energy is well known, but fuel cells are a new technology, and you talked about reliability. we know that reliability for end customers is a big issue. So that's why we sell the system, for example, with the operating guarantee to make sure for 7 years there's no issue, there's no discussion, there's a kind of safety. Nobody needs to know about fuel cells itself. I think end customer doesn't care so much about the fuel cell. They want to have a running system, and we make sure that as a manufacturer that they can be sure that the system will be operating fine and reliable.
So one of the main issues is the security that you transmit to the end customer to the installer, for example. That he's trained in what kind of security he can deliver to his customer.
Okay, the basis is the system is as a CE certificate, so it's safe, it's tested, so there's no discussion about hydrogen and natural gas. Every gas boiler has the same level of safety like such a system. Security for the end customer is more important in terms of how to understand, how to be sure that Hexis is a long-term partner, not only for a short term. That's helpful for us to be a part of the Fissmann group in order to make sure Hexis is not a company which will go away after 3 years and systems are sold. We have a long-term perspective, and that's very important as a message for our customers.
That sounds very good. So my dad can rely on your engine if he likes to sell one.
Yes, that's the idea.
Just looking around the audience, is there someone who's got a question right now? Just raise up your hands. I don't see any hands right now, so we can go ahead. Mr. Schuler, about the time planning for the next 2 years, because we know every running system is a good system for selling on the one side. On the other side, every running system can be improved. So what do you say? Do you have something in the object going for that? Improvement of the product?
Yes, so for the next 2 years it's two important things. The one thing is with the actual Galileo 1000N we make the pilot market introduction. That's the one thing. And on the other hand, of course, there's further development. And now we are in the cooperative development together with Fissmann. Of course, Hexis is the specialist in fuel cells, and Fissmann is more the specialist in the common heating technology, systems technology. So we combine these two knowledge bases for a next generation of system which will come in 2016. So that's one important part where we work together with Fissmann. And afterwards, starting in 2016, also Fissmann will start the distribution of the system via their channels into the market.
So you're right now sitting together also with Fissmann to get a future product for the year 16. That means also you have to prepare within the next 2 years this kind of cooperation. And on the other side, you start to sell your engine right now. Galileo is coming onto the market. Do you have a right promise for that?
Yeah, I think we are doing the right way there in a sense. It's good now to start and prepare the market at the moment. And of course we know for the future we have to reduce cost and all the things again and again. So I think each of the fuel cell companies are in the same situation. There will come generations of systems until it is a really broad established technology. And so I think we are on the right track to do that.
Being on the right track means also using this fair here to look for new partners, to look for new material. Have you been looking around and seeing something fascinating which can, well, bring you to the next step in your production?
Of course, here are all the players in the fuel cell industry here, and we are doing some technologies by ourselves, the fuel cell itself, but a lot of components, manufacturing technologies. We see here the right partners, and of course most of them we know since years, but it's every year a really a good situation to have them all here, and we can in a few days discuss with all of them what can we do together. Is there new ideas how to improve components and so on.
So how to improve components, for me, is one special thing very interested. If you work directly in the development of a fuel cell, what exactly is done right now to get it in a higher level?
It's in principle three things. The one thing is simply robustness and long-term stability. That's the key issue. We have there a status where we think, okay, for market introduction, it's okay. But for the future, to get the cost over lifetime lower, we have also to get to a longer lifetime of the fuel cell, of course. The second one is to improve the power density and electrical efficiency further. So there is some space left. We can further improve that. And of course, that will result for the end customer in lower prices and higher effect on the yearly energy costs on that. And the third topic is, of course, cost reduction.
So in production, the cost reduction, in material, the cost reduction?
Yes, in both. So we think we are actually in a status where we can reduce cost by development also. It's not only a function of production numbers, but we see also big chances in the next development steps to reduce the costs.
So you also have, well, when you start to sell engines, you also have a market where you bring out the engines and everybody's gonna testing it, giving a response about your about the functionality. That means you have a kind of market testing in that way that you can tell Viessmann, for example, within the next 2 years, we sold how many engines do you want to sell during this time? Mr. Nerlich.
So, as you talked about testing. We tested with more than 200 systems, and so we have
right
a good
now.
Till now.
Yeah. Oh,
So we are definitely tested in single-family homes, mainly for refurbishment. Already built buildings, not new built houses. Houses which need to be modernized. So we have a lot of experience that makes us sure just to start market introduction. We are heading towards selling, introducing about 300 or whatever, kind of that number of systems within the next 2 or 3 years.
So it's doubling of selling.
More or less, yes. So it's kind of a mixture. We want to sell those systems, but we want to develop the market. So both activities are from the same importance for us.
Well, that sounds very promising on the one side and very experienced now for the last year. So I have to thank you very much for this kind of introduction of your product. If somebody wants to talk to those young men here, we'll meet them directly in front of the booth here or at the Hexis booth.
On the IBZ.
IBZ. Ah,
Yeah,
there behind. Yeah, exactly.
If you would say over there.
It's on the last side there where a lot of booths, there's also Hexis promised there. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.